Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our reaction and review for The Walking Dead Dead City Season 1, Episode 6. We've made it, guys, the finale of a show that is only 6 episodes long. That's episodes were pretty short. I feel like at times there were episodes of Ted Lasso Season 3 that were longer than this entire season combined.
I really wish that this season was longer. It was really good. This finale gave me everything I wanted to see. Like everything. We had a Negan Maggie like physical fight,
Yeah.
which I think they've needed to fight it out for a while. We had some growth with Maggie where Herschel really called her out on her you know what and was just like, you need to move on, which I think is like a lot of what we've all been feeling with
Yeah.
Meg. It's like, yes, you're hurting, but like, when is it time to move on? Like, it's now. And then we've seen, Negan now in this really difficult position of, does he have to go back to who he was? Is there any way out of the situation? This finale just delivered. And with only 6 episodes, if/when this gets renewed,
Yeah.
please bring it back for 10. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be 22 episodes
Oh,
and
God.
get
No,
really
no.
it doesn't need to be that long, but it does need to be a little bit longer.
Okay, I'm gonna pull out a new hat for this occasion because it's the finale. We gotta celebrate.
It was the finale hat.
It's the philosopher's hat. I'm
Oh.
very philosophical right now. You can all call me Mad Rose Descartes, and Jessica Bun Bun here is gonna be able to break down this philosophical angle.
Am I?
Well,
We
okay.
shall see.
Here we are, everybody. Here's the grand TV philosophy of finales: is that if you have a really good premiere and if you have a really good finale, we all have very short memories as TV viewers. Like, let's be honest. I don't remember what I watched a week ago. So if you have a
To
really
be fair,
good,
we watch so much TV here at the channel.
it's true. But if you have a really good finale and a really good premiere,
Mhm.
you can forget a lot about the stuff in between. And that's my feeling about Dead City. I think it had a really good premiere.
Mhm.
I think it had a really good finale.
Mhm.
It had a lot of missteps along the way. Like, there were a lot of pratfalls. There were a lot of things that's like, why are you guys doing this? But it's a very strong ending to the season that I think raises some big questions, and people will be talking about this. So, philosopher Matt here, I give this finale a stamp of approval.
Absolutely. And speaking of big questions, I mean, coming out of this finale, I got to ask you guys, and, I'll ask you too. You
Okay.
Team Maggie, Team Negan, or Team Together?
I'm team together. Like, I just want to see people get along in this crazy world. And I think just beyond all of that, whether it's good or bad, the fight scene in this episode proved that if you don't have the two of them together, it's not as interesting. Or heck, what we talked about, in the past. It's like, if these two have their own separate storylines and they're not colliding, not as much fun.
Yeah, I'm Team Together as well. I mean, Maggie really did Negan dirty
Yeah.
in this whole show. And I mean, he's definitely done her dirty throughout the years and everything that happened with Glenn. And, it hasn't been great. They've both done stuff to each other. But them together and that final scene of, their two faces sort of cut together, of them coming together, of them both having the capability of doing these bad things as well as good things. I think they really are more similar than they want to admit.
Okay, so before we go any further here, be sure to join our Patreon. We got a link for you guys in the description below. On Tuesday, July 25th, we are going to be going live over on Patreon. We will be taking questions from all of you guys, whether it be about Dead City, a lot of other TV shows you're watching. We've had a really fun time doing these already. We want you to be a part of the discussion, and we really appreciate everyone who has checked out our Patreon so far.
Yeah, absolutely. We have these live discussions every Tuesday over there, so join in the fun. There's, Dead City is done. But I mean, the Daryl Dixon is going to be coming up soon in September, and we're covering Justified, and Only Murders is coming up. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Twisted Metal starting up next week. It's going to be so good. I just feel it in my bones. But yeah, join our Patreon, join on the conversation.
Okay, let's start with the real highlight of this episode, and you've already alluded to it.
Fight.
Okay, like come on, like okay. there's a couple of different things that made this fight awesome. Number one, the setting and the staging of it was great. Above all the walkers, like this felt like a real Thunderdome here, where it's just like one wrong step, zombies eating you alive. They created a lot of real stakes, and I mean, I will admit here, I didn't think they would either one of them would die, just because it's like, okay, you guys want a season 2. If you don't have Maggie or Negan, like, what are you doing with yourself? But there was at least one point where I was like, are they actually killing Negan? Like, is he actually going to go? Like, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a crazy enough guy that, like, he would be all in for, like, killing off his character in the season 1 finale.
No, I wasn't worried either one of them were gonna die,
Yeah.
especially Maggie, because I feel like Negan's complicated history with her and how he feels about how he actually handled killing Glenn and everything that he has done, and the arc that he's taken for redemption and self-reflection and moving forward from that. Maggie feels like the one person that he personally wouldn't be able to kill unless it is really like she's gonna kill him and he feels like she's actually going to kill him. Then I think he would, self-preservation. He'll do what he has to stay alive. But I think he just carries with him such regret that then taking her away as well and leaving Herschel with no parents is not something that he's really capable of doing.
Yeah, I don't think he would have been able to figure that out in any circumstance. But it somehow still, I think it was just the idea that even if they didn't kill each other, the zombies could. It like
Mhm.
added that extra element. It made all of it work. And then just like beyond all that, because I mean, we all know the fight was awesome, but it's,
That fight was so awesome. The way that it was choreographed on all these
yeah.
different levels, sort of up on this catwalk, down on the beams, down on the ground. I mean, these two just needed to fight it out. Like, this is a very long time coming.
And it all still builds towards this really interesting sort of question of how do we all feel about Negan at the end of this season after everything we learn in terms of, why the CROAT and sort of by extension of the CROAT, the Dama, why they want him here. Because like this is a broad question of are we supposed to feel bad for Negan now? Because it is, we think back to The Walking Dead, he did so much of this to himself. Like he is the one who embodied this persona. He is the one who killed Glenn. He's the one who was Mr. Bravado with Lucille. You put yourself in the position where you created the monster and now these other people want to revive the monster, and it's like it's all your fault, Negan. But a very weird part of me is just like, oh man, you did all this to try to redeem yourself. You really tried. Maggie fooled you. Now these people want to use you.
Yeah, I think it's really the deeper question of like, is there ever a time where enough is enough? Where you've actually paid for your past, you're allowed to move on within yourself. Other people need to just let you move on. Is there ever really a time that you've paid for your past? And if the answer is no, is there still a way that you can move forward and be like, okay, I made these choices, I did these things,
Yeah.
I want to do better, be better, and I should have the chance to be able to just continuously work on it. Because really, sort of the theme of this episode was a reminder of Negan's rules and the code that he's lived by, even when he was back with the Saviors, which is no children. Do not touch children. Do not hurt children. I don't care what they've done. Their innocence. It's a no. And we saw him sacrifice his own love and wanting to be, traveling with Ginny. Ginny's someone who's really important to him, where she shows up and he realizes, I got to be really hurtful to her to make sure that she's safe. And even though it hurts me to do this to her, it hurts me that I may never see her again. I'm giving her a chance at a better life. She is still a child.
Yeah.
He makes that choice. She's gone off to safety. Hard for him, but he's been able to do it. And now, after finding out, that Maggie is turning him into the CROAT to be able to get Herschel, yeah, they had the fight and everything, but they ended up in this spot where he gives himself to get Herschel back, where she still has the knife up against his throat and he gently removes her arm and he goes willingly to make the exchange because, again, for him, sacrificing himself for a child is something he's been doing over and over and over again. Even when he was Negan with Lucille, he was always sacrificing for children. And, now we're in this situation where the Dama is like, listen, I want the old Negan back. I've heard the stories. The CROAT told me all about it, and he's kind of unreliable. But it turns out that it's true because I've been able to, double this information and get it out of Herschel. He's, he trusts me, and he's told me that all of this stuff is true. And here's his toe. And again, it's that there's a child involved now where she's like, listen, nothing else really works with you.
Yeah.
This is where we're going with it. If you don't bring back the Negan that I need, the showman, then I'm just going to keep taking pieces off of this child. So she's straight away, first meeting, gone in on, you don't like it when people touch children? Here's a toe. And I'm sure she got some of that information from the CROAT too.
Yeah.
Because even he was like, Negan, man, I really screwed up. Like, you told me not to do that to that child. I did it. Biggest regret of my life, and I'm gonna take whatever time it is to be able to get you to forgive me and work through it.
It's clearly Negan's biggest weakness, and I think the problem Negan now faces is there any way that I can confront that and get out of this situation? Or here's another tinfoil hat theory, everybody.
All right, tinfoil hat, here we go.
Why not just kill the Dama? Like, I'm just throwing this out here at this point. Like, what if you're Negan and you are as charismatic as anyone can possibly be? You put on the leather jacket, you find yourself a new weapon of choice, you start patrolling the streets, doing your I'm Negan, I'm back sort of thing. People are going to rally behind you. You take out the Dama at that point. Like, you're more charismatic than her. What's she going to do anyway? Is she going to have those supporters and then you're fine. And then you find a way to sort of become normal Negan again. Maybe at that point your own supporters turn against you, but it just, to me, the real question coming out of this, moving into season 2, for Negan anyway, is simply, do you go along with the Dama's sort of orders here in fear of having this thing happen to Herschel, which I agree with you. He's never going to want. Like, that's always going to be a major deterrent for him. But do you find another way to ensure that nothing happens to Herschel, but that you also don't have to just become your old self? Because I don't think this is just true for Negan. I think this is true for a lot of us. There's a lot of reasons we all are not our former versions of ourselves. In a lot of cases, they suck. And we want to be new versions of ourselves that we actually feel good about.
Yeah, and Negan has really been on a journey with this for years. He's really trying to turn into this different person that he feels better about or he feels good about. And, we did see him this season tap back into the old Negan and, shower blood on people, which has reached the Dama where she's like, showman, love it, need it. We're going to bring that back. So this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to make sure that you're actually going to do it, because if not, I'm going to do this to this child because she has more information on him than he has on her. He just doesn't know how many followers she has. What are they willing to do for her? He's one man. Like, it's going to take time, but I think going into a season 2, when we get a season 2, I think his biggest struggle is that he's going to be having to face his old self. And we saw a tiny bit of it this season when he was raining down blood of, how difficult or how easy it was for him to do that. And then, turn around and face Maggie, which is sort of facing himself. Is he going to be able to do it in a short enough amount of time to be able to get rid of the Dama and move forward? Or is he going to fall back into it and be like, you know what? I can just embrace who I am. It's not great that I kill people, but at the same time, I have a code. I don't do this to children. As long as it's not children, it's A-okay. He's convinced himself of that in the past. Is he really changed?
I think he wants to believe that he's changed. And I think for the most part, he's changed. But there's still that tiny part of him. And I think there are occasions where the tiny part of him wants to come out. And I think it's another parallel, hence the split screen with Maggie, where the big question for Maggie now becomes, can I change? Like, is there another iteration? Because I think, there's this classic saying that TV shows love to say of like, I can forgive you, but I won't forget. And I think for Maggie, it's like, I can't forgive you and I won't forget you. But then there's a third question that comes into play here is just, can you still move forward? Even with these things in mind.
Mhm.
And that's sort of the core of like the Herschel and Maggie confrontation, where he's just like, you are seeing right through me. This was never about me. This was about your own need for vengeance, your own need to make this happen. And, Negan, in his very prophetic way, in the midst of the fight with her, he is basically just like, you can't let this go and you shouldn't. And
Mhm.
I don't think she ever will let this go. But I think what she has to figure out is there a way that I can compartmentalize these things and they are still a part of me? But can there be another part of me as well? Like, can I still find balance in my life? And maybe she thinks that going back, trying to save Negan, trying to find a way to restore what version of him exists now, maybe that is her way to do so.
I think that Maggie Herschel conversation was so good. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's lots of angsty teenagers on
Yeah.
TV. I mean, we're watching one over on Justified right now too, but
Yeah.
but there's a deeper feeling for Herschel on why he's acting this way, that he's grown up feeling invisible to his only living parent, that she's so focused on the death of Glenn. Obviously, I mean, she's going to feel that hurt. He does too. I mean,
Yeah.
he wasn't able to have any relationship with his dad. So, I mean, that's going to haunt him forever. Like, he also is dealing with stuff. But then not having your mom actually be there with you, and he was just like, you see right through me, like I'm invisible to you, like, oh, ow, it just hurt me so bad for him. And I saw that it hurt her too, that she really had to take some time to think about it and be like, wow, okay, my obsession with Negan has affected my relationship with my kid, the only person who actually matters to me. I've made Negan matter more
Yeah.
than Herschel, and he feels it. Man, I've really screwed this up. And that she really does need to change it. And I think that conversation at the end where she was like, you're right. I'm glad that you called me out on it. I don't know how I'm going to move forward from it, but I'm going to find a way, which was such an honest way to express it. Like, yeah, how is she going to move on from, he has said, I've given you a million apologies, it's not enough. I've done all these different things for you. It's not enough. Like, they've now fought it out. It's not enough. So what is it then that's going to help her get through it? Yeah, she doesn't know.
I wish all of us collective viewers of The Walking Dead could stand and give a round of applause now to the franchise for finding a way to look at this. You can make a teenager a real person with layers.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, it's like not everybody is just whiny, not everybody is just some brat. It's like, okay, cool. You guys have done this. Congratulations. And now you can use this to build up the Maggie character. Like, I think
Mhm.
we've already specified we are Team Negan and Maggie. So, of course, we are all going to be from the vantage point of, okay, season 2, Maggie's going to go back. Like, how much of a time jump is it going to be? Like, what version of Negan are we going to see? Like, these questions are, of course, still out there. But just
Mhm.
the idea of, like, what is that reunion going to look like? And if she ends up confronting a version of Negan that is, like, past Negan, like, man, that's gotta suck. Like, I don't know any more like eloquent way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, my tinfoil hat
All right,
theory
all
for
right.
next season is going to be that the way that she is able to move forward is by actually giving to Negan in a constructive way. So going back to save him, help him, get him out of there, undo the bad thing she did to him, that then she might be able to move forward a little bit to be like, okay, I can't forgive what he did, and she shouldn't, but I can move forward by instead going in with caring and kindness. Like, he didn't have to help with Herschel or the, the lie of the
Yeah.
grain or anything like that, but he did. And, he didn't have to sacrifice his relationship with Ginny by sending her back and, being mean to her and breaking that relationship apart, but he did. And I think if she can go and give to him the way that he has been giving to her, that might be the way to actually just move forward, to be like, okay, I can't forgive, but I can move forward in a way where we're beneficial to each other
Yes.
instead. And one of the real ways that I think she can end up being beneficial to him is not just saving him, but if she goes back there and he's in his old Negan mode, because he has to be, for her saving him out of the situation, but also saving him from falling back into himself, is something I think she can feel good about as a connection with him.
And, maybe on the other side of that, like, they'll never be BFFs forever. Like, I think we can, I think I just said best friends forever, but we're rolling with it anyway.
No, forever gone. They'll never just be, best friends.
No, but they can find something between the two of them to help them coexist. Now,
yeah, I mean, because the other interesting sort of hanging mystery here is we saw that Herschel had these drawings.
Yeah.
And one of them was of Dama. And Dama had said that she had found a way to build a very close, tight relationship with him. And that's what's so interesting about his character too, is, he doesn't have his father around. His mother is making him feel invisible. And then along comes Dama, where she's been able to make some sort of relationship with him enough that he's drawing pictures of her. He even says when he's rescued that it wasn't so bad in there. And we know his toe got cut off. So if he's in that type of a trauma situation where he feels more relationship with his captor than with his mom, I mean, Dama could use that as well.
I think if I'm going to sort of both tinfoil hat and also just like write the Dama's backstory here so deep in this video, I could see her being like a former Broadway actress or something like that, so many years ago, because seems like she's got kind of a very glamorous sort of life built for herself amidst this zombie world.
My theory of it being one of Negan's ex-wives was a total L.
It was an interesting theory, though. Like, it added another thing of motivation, but she's clearly very persuasive if she's able to win Herschel over. So, now that we're so deep in here, there's a couple of just big questions about the supporting characters. Number one, is Jenny gone? Are we going to see Jenny again moving forward?
I think we will. I mean, she is in the town with Maggie. So, yeah, I think we will see her again. And it would be nice to see if her and Maggie can kind of figure something out.
All right, question number two, because I agree. I think we're going to see Jenny again. It's that they really felt the way that they had to sort of shoehorn Armstrong and what's going on with him into another season. So they brought up this whole notion. It's like, oh, the methane. This is the thing we care about now.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense as to what the story now is going to be, the overall arcing story next season, where it's like, the cops want the methane and Armstrong's been over to the island. So he knows that, what's going on over there. He can bring back information. I know he's lied to the person in charge to basically be like, oh, I killed Negan. Yeah, he's gone. Don't worry about it. We're all good. She's just like, nah,
no,
this isn't real. Tell me this story again. But it's interesting that the Dama already knows that this is what is going to be coming up, that, the police and other people are going to be coming for that methane, and that she has it and she's not giving it up. So she needs a stronger leadership because the CROAT's not really that controllable.
No.
She seemingly gets her hands dirty, but on like a different level. She needs a big, loud, scary guy, and Negan is it.
Just take your time, guys, with this whole Armstrong and everything that's going on over there.
Could be good.
It could be very good, but I don't want you guys to rush this in, shoehorn this in when we've got everything else with the Dama and Negan and Herschel and I don't think that this is a 2-season show. Like that's what I'm trying to say here. You can pace yourselves. You don't have to do The Walking Dead. Look at this, look at that we get all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this show really thrives when it's zeroed in on just
Yes.
a handful of characters, which is why this finale was so good. It was
Yeah.
really, really good. Like, yeah, they kind of shoehorned in Armstrong at the end, but I mean, he's been a, fairly important supporting character throughout, and it looks like we're going to see a lot more of him next season.
All right, so now we are wandering out of Dead City. We gotta embark on a very long trip to France to hang out with Daryl Dixon coming
Yep.
up in September. But
Yep.
thank you guys so much for watching. Like we said earlier, join our Patreon if you want to be a part of our live streams. We
Mhm.
have one on the 25th, and we will see you here next time.